What is it you want, Barry? What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Come with me if you want to live.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
The Force will be with you, always.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 20th Century Geek. I'm your regular host, Scott Weatherly, and we are continuing our childish play with Chucky. We've done the original trilogy, the OG trilogy, Child's Play 1 through 3, and we're now back for a reboot. And joining for this part of it, the reboot, who better than Jack? Jack, you are back.
Well, yeah.
You're back. Sorry, Jack. Jack is back.
When you introduced, I think it's episode 2, isn't it? You did Child's Play 2, and you and Dan were talking about it. And of course, that's the tagline. It was very much like, oh, these guys, I'm listening. Oh, they're talking to me. Great, yeah. No, of course, that's the tagline for the movie. So, yeah, Chucky is an interesting one for me. I don't know how much of my backstory and history you want with the character and the franchise.
I'm always fascinated. Oh, yeah, because that's the question I'm asking. Everyone in this is like, what was your introduction to Chucky? And because it's sort of, we're all different ages and got different, entry points to this. And it's not Child's Play, the franchise so far is interesting that I've never seen it as like one of the big, you've got Michael Myers, you've got Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, like the big three. And then Chucky sort of comes in as B tier. And I was expecting other people to be like, yeah, I've watched this one, I've watched that one, but it's not the sort of like the monolith I think that some of the others are. So I am curious that what did you come across him with first?
Yeah, and I think bringing out those characters is interesting considering where this one starts. I'm sure we'll touch upon that. But to be honest, until very recently, zero. I mean, obviously, I think you and I are a similar sort of age, and there was all the controversy, and I can't wait to hear you and Dave talk about Child's Play 3 when you release that episode. I think that's going to be a fascinating discussion between the two of you. So very aware of what it was, but had never actually seen one until the remake. And I watched that, as we'll talk about when I come back around for that episode, because Aubrey Plaza was in it, and I think she's amazing. So I was like, oh, okay, well, great. I'll give it a go, and she's in it, so at least I'll enjoy that part of it. And it seemed pretty solid to me. It was perfectly fine. I mean, it was a decent enough movie for the premise. But then around about 2022, so this is maybe a year or two after that remake came out, when the pop gorillas were busy popping, when we were at the kind of the peak of doing that little project, we all picked a horror franchise for each other to watch. So we had the Child's Play franchise, we had Final Destination, Resident Evil, and Scream. Now, the idea was that you then did like a random selection. So you get given Bride of Chucky, you get given Child's Play, you get given, do you know what I mean? So you all get like 2 or 3 from each franchise. But who I am, as most people know, that meant I had to watch all of them from every franchise because that completed sense. I needed it to know that I was getting the full picture. So at that point in 2022, did I go through from 1 all the way through to what would have been at that point? What would have been the
Cult of Chucky, I think.
Cult of Chucky? Yeah. So I'd watched up to there. Maybe the series had been out, but I didn't go into that.
Yeah, the first series came out early 23.
Okay.
Because the last one finished this year, so yeah.
So yeah, I have seen all of them, but at a much later point in life than you've described.
Which is interesting, because I think Chucky's one of those characters that kind of... He is, because he's a doll, and there is that kind of toy element to him. It's sort of toyetic in that, if to go down that route. And I came across him quite young, and but there were no toys. There was no thing,
right? Yeah,
it was just the films. This is the film that we're going to talk about today, Bride of Chucky, that really sort of they went like, oh, we can do all kinds of stuff with this. This is the and this kind of reignited it. But I remember this coming out in '98. I'd already seen the others earlier, as I sort of go into. After the controversy of 3, especially a big headline on, I believe it was on the Sun or the Telegraph or whatever, a big picture of Chucky and sort of like, it being linked with the tragedy.
Mm,
I was like, well, I've got to see all of these then. Of course I have. And we were able to get one and two, but I wasn't able to get three until a little later.
mm, mm.
But when four came out, when Bride came out, like, yeah, I remember, I wasn't old enough to go. So that would have been 98. Yeah. So I'd have probably been, I'm sort of 17, 17, 18 at that point. So
Mm.
coming up to age. So yeah, I remember this coming out and being like, oh, great. This is going to be it. And it just being talked about. Like, there's quite a bit of a buzz around this one at the time.
I can imagine that. I can imagine, coming back after that controversy and it trying to reinvent itself. And I'm sure we'll get into the kind of not, I don't think it's quite meta, is it? But it definitely has put it a new spin, as you said. It's sort of reinvented itself. It's a bit more knowing now, I
Oh, yeah,
suppose, rather than being meta.
yeah.
Um,
I
yeah, I
mean,
can see. I don't know why it passed me by. And I had a little look at some stuff online and looked at other horror and horror adjacent movies that came out in '98. And looking at the list, I mean, it feels like there should have been a big deal. I mean, we had Halloween H20, so
mhm.
I definitely remember going to see that. And then
That
like
was the big one. That was the big one.
yeah, I still know what he did last summer. That's the sequel, obviously. The
Mm,
Faculty,
that's a good one. Yeah.
Urban Legends. So there were some which were kind of definitely like post Scream, right?
Mm.
Movies. But I think, yeah, I don't know why this just totally passed me by. It wasn't something that I went out my way to see, I guess.
I think it's because it's the fourth one in the franchise,
Mm,
and it's kind of it is not it's a reboot. It's a recharging of it, I
mm,
suppose. And it is incredibly post Scream. I mean, this is the most, like you say, postmodern, almost meta,
mm,
of the post Scream
mhm,
films.
mhm.
Um, yeah, it kind of, but the buzz. I remember like how getting the buzz because I knew
Yeah,
Chucky, but I remember the buzz sort of coming after, and it was more like um word of mouth that this one
right.
sort of did
But
some
like a
business
sleeper
after.
hit.
Yeah, it came. I don't know how big of a hit it was, but I remember people sort of like going, "Oh, have you seen the poster, or have you seen
Mm,
this?" And of course, being even as an older teenage boy, Jennifer Tilly is going to drive an awful lot of people in, male people into the cinema.
even as a middle-aged man, Jennifer Tilly
Yeah.
has her appeal for sure. Yeah.
And but even and as I mean, I will praise Jennifer Tilly up and down for this, in this film. Like
Mm,
as Tiffany, she is like absolutely equal and on par to what Brad Dourif
mhm,
is
mhm.
doing as Chucky. But yeah, no, it's just I just sort of thing you say. I think Halloween, H20 was kind of the big one for the year, and
Yeah.
then this sort of did a bit of business. But yeah, it's interesting. It's probably worth getting into. I mean, we should highlight that three ends with
Hmm, hmm.
Chucky thrown into a rotor blade, probably one of the unsafest fairground attraction rides ever. Having had his face sliced off and then pushed into a rotor blade. Um, and so, as always, we say, how does he come back? Well, in this one, the remains that were blasted out of that um, rotor blade,
Hmm.
in 1997, it would be. So it would be either the year or so before the events of this film, because there is a time jump for three,
Hmm.
have been put in an evidence locker somewhere. We never like it. Never gets just an evidence locker, and Jennifer Tilly's Tiffany has paid off the police and has hunted that down and retrieves it, sews him up as the best she can, and uses voodoo for dummies, which is
Yeah.
great, um, to bring him back using the Dumbala incantation.
Hmm.
So I like that it's a an active retrieving,
Hmm.
bringing him back. This isn't kind of like in the previous ones. It's been his blood's been in this, or it's his body that was brought back. So, but yeah, but from your perspective, coming into this, then been a bit of a while. The opening with
Mm.
the evidence locker and the gags that are there and everything. What are your thoughts coming into this as it sort of starts?
It's great fun, isn't it? And it just immediately sets the scene and the tone.
Hmm.
And I think, like you said, the kind of the gags we see, the Michael Myers mask, don't we? The Freddy glove, the Jason mask, a chainsaw.
Yeah.
I guess a little bit too early to have Ghostface's mask in there as well. But I sort of was thinking, oh, it's a shame that's not there. Particularly the fact they probably should be acknowledging its influence on its. Maybe it
Mm,
was a bit too scared to do that at this early point. So that's good fun. And then what I particularly liked was seeing the Tiffany character as that, as you said, like active member, but also that she is just as wicked and dangerous and violent and sadistic as the man that she's kind of was it Charles? I always forget. I get it the wrong way around. Charles
Lee
Lee
Ray.
Ray.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. um, you know, and we get this backstory about how they used to be together. But seeing her as being like just active in that way, like slicing the policeman's throat out of nowhere and stuff, I thought was fun. That it wasn't that she was going to be passive. It was telling her
Mm,
straight away that she's going to be his kind of equal. It's going to be Mickey and Mallory. It's going to
yeah.
be, and I know they reference that later as well, don't they? Yeah, I thought it was a really good scene setter and a tone setter as well.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's as you say, it's as a tone setter for like this is new.
Hmm.
It's sort of saying we know what we are, and actually
Mm.
we're poking fun at all these other things. And I think you when you were watching, I think you mentioned I think on the Discord about how like the music, it might be yourself or Dave, how late 90s the
Hmm.
music is. Like you got
Hmm.
Rob Zombie and you've got things like that.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's great. But yeah, it really does set this tone of like this is a bit different. Like,
Hmm.
we're embracing the camp, like,
Yeah.
from the offset. Like
It's going
it's
to be a bit more fun.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that's the right move considering the controversy and think of that what you will. Um, but I think it was the right move for them to reinvent themselves in this way for sure. And to bring in, as you said, somebody like Jennifer Tilly, who straight from the off is larger than life and is almost kind of cackling as she's, not quite, but you could almost imagine that was the next thing. Like actually just rein it in a little bit from there, Jennifer,
yeah,
because that's a little bit too much. Um, yeah, absolutely the right decision, I think.
yeah. And she is stunning, and it just I for years I was like, I didn't realize how this because age is irrelevant, but it is for the timeline.
Hmm.
Um, because I was a bit like, how old is she? Because I didn't realize, is she too young?
Mm,
Does this work? How old would
mm,
she be
mm,
compared to, Brad Dourif and like,
mm.
Charles Lee Ray? So she's 40 and she turned 40 in 98 when this sort of
Wow.
film came
Okay.
out. And I was like, okay, well that actually works because
Hmm.
Brad Dourif is 8 years older than her. So in I have to, like I create these head canons. So I was
Hmm.
like, yeah, of course, this is 10 years before would be
Hmm.
when the 1988 when Chucky is killed, Charles Lee
Hmm.
Ray is killed and becomes Chucky. So this should be 30. So there's this sort of like younger woman, probably in her 20s, has come across Charles Lee Ray, has become infatuated with this guy. She's a psychopath. He's a serial killer. I was like, yeah, that makes absolute sense that
Hmm.
she's survived on the streets of Chicago and all this other stuff. So for a while I was a bit like, doesn't make sense. This is she's not there in the original, but then in time I'm like, no, I kind of get it. Like it feels like that could work.
Yeah, I agree. I guess she presents as younger, doesn't she? In terms of
Mm,
like the way that she looks, she's very youthful, but also I guess her kind of effervescence, her sense of kind of presence, and the way that she talks and
mm.
presents as younger as well. I think so. Yeah, I had a similar thought last night, a couple of nights ago when I was watching it again. That like, oh, is the age gap too big? But I think also that's because I've got Brad Dourif like now in my head rather than
Yes,
Brad
that's the
Dourif
thing.
then in my head. So
Yeah,
putting separating those and then putting the actual right ones together helps too.
yeah. That's always the thing, isn't it? When you're watching sort of films in retrospect, you're like, how old were they then? And you go,
Yeah.
oh Christ, oh yeah, they're younger than I am now.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, so that works, and she's sort of, as you say, she's sort of, making puns and
Mhm.
um, with Rob Zombie playing in the background, so it works really well. And it's gonna have her like doing all the sewing and putting the doll together and
Mm.
doing all that. Um, and I love the fact two points that sort of well, actually a point I didn't get until this one. As we say, she tries to bring Chucky back using Voodoo for Dummies. the fact is, when they refer to the heart of Dumbala later
Hmm.
on,
Hmm.
Chucky knows which section it's in, so he clearly had to use Voodoo for Dummies as well.
Good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
I was
Yeah.
like, that's a nice little, like she's no better than him, or he's no better than her. Like they've clearly both used Voodoo for Dummies, and I thought that was
Yeah.
that's quite funny. Um, and so they're going to be set up as this couple.
Mm.
Um, before we talk into it, you sort of, you get Chucky, and you've got. In contrast to that, I want to sort of just approach this other
Hmm.
couple because you have them sort of running in parallel. Is again a young Katherine Heigl,
Hmm.
who I always forgets in this film. I was like, oh yeah, Katherine Heigl. And
I mean, he's just a bit of a nod, really, isn't he? He's not.
yeah, I think is a sort of his name's Nick Stabali. I don't think he's done anything of any real note
No.
since. But they're playing Jade and Jesse as this sort of young, um, sort of star-crossed lovers kind of thing. He's
Mm.
obviously on the wrong side of the tracks. She's lost her parents. I don't think you're ever told how or why, but
No.
um, she's living with her uncle, played again like to Evil Delight by John Ritter,
Mm.
um, who we lost sort of soon after this. Quite sad,
Mm.
but he's great. He's sort of like he's quite fun in this as the sort of chief of police, and they're looking for a way out
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
this situation. So we've talked about those. What about these two? How does this work to you then, for you as a kind of the you know I know the contrast to Chucky and Tiffany.
And this is, I guess, this also is a reinvention, isn't it? Is bringing in the kind of teen fodder,
Mm-hmm.
which you haven't had up until this. I know, like the third one is set when he's a bit older, but it's all been like that. As you said, it's an arc. It's a definite trilogy, isn't it? It's the Andy trilogy.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like your classic slasher fodder is being brought in here. I mean, I don't know where on the scale of deliberate to just shit their acting is.
Mm.
Like Jennifer Tilly is amazing and fantastic, but I can understand some people kind of thinking like, oh, she's going to that level, and that's the level that I think was right for this movie, and she's fantastic. But either they're being asked to play these characters with zero personality and completely bland on purpose, or they're just not very good. I'm not sure. Am I wrong, or did you have the same feeling, or is there something behind this that I don't know?
No, no, no. I don't think there's anything behind it. I just don't think they're very good.
Oh, okay, all right.
And I think that because there's zero chemistry between them. Like there's this thing
Yeah,
of like they're going
none.
like, oh, we're willing to do kill for each other and run off and do that. And I'm like, really? Like, I haven't seen a scene yet where you feel like you are. And the
Because it
reason I don't,
starts with them going to the prom, doesn't it? Like they get
yes,
stopped going to the prom by her dodgy uncle and his dodgy like deputy.
yeah,
Um, so that I presume they're meant to be, end of high school 18.
yeah, that's kind of what they're supposed. Yeah, they're clearly not. Like, I think he's supposed to be a bit older than her.
Right, okay.
I think she's supposed to be sort of 17, 18, and he's
Hmm.
supposed to be sort of like 20 maybe because he's living on his own. He's,
Yeah, good point. He's in the trailer park, isn't he, with
yeah.
Tiffany? Yeah.
Um, the reason I don't think they're very good and it's
Mm.
unintentional is because of Gordon Michael Wolvett, who plays
Hmm.
David,
Hmm.
their sort of gay friend. And again, he's not winning the Oscars, but at least he's bringing like personality and he's
Yeah.
bringing some like lightness of touch to his role. Where I'm like, oh yeah, when you're on screen, like his introductory scene when he comes in and John Ritter's uh you know Chief Kincaid is there, sort of going like, oh, Jade's upstairs, and he's pretending to be her date for the
Hmm.
prom,
Hmm. Hmm.
and Kincaid's like, off to college. He's like, yes, I am. He's like, I'm going to do theatre arts, and you can see that like he constantly he wants this. He's trying to pretend to be on this macho front, but like
Yeah.
clearly that's like the drama student is coming through, and then he obviously says about he says, oh, it's a course, well, it's not a corsair, it's just a thing. He's, oh no, it's an orchid,
Yeah,
And
right.
then, yeah,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he sort of looks over. He says, "I read it somewhere." Like he's kind of funny. Like he's got a lot.
Yeah.
Again, it's not, I'm not breaking ribs laughing, but like whenever he's in it, he sort of brings
Mm.
something different because those two are so wooden.
Yes. And that's why, no, you're absolutely right. And that's where I wasn't sure. Because if you stack it up to, I know what he did last summer, Scream,
Mm,
these ones that have come out in the last couple of years, everybody in that cast are good and they have charisma and they have chemistry and they play those roles as they should do. Even Freddie Prinze Jr., who through his time as an actor has had some criticism, but he
mm,
fits that role in that movie perfectly. And obviously, everybody in Scream has tons of personality. But then what I think further back, and whether it's trying to echo kind of 80s slashes, often those were pretty cardboard and wooden, weren't they? So yeah, I wasn't quite sure where I landed on this, but it's certainly the least interesting parts of the movie. But of
hmm.
course, they are required to drive the plot forward, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they literally become a vehicle. That's
Yeah,
it.
quite.
They,
Yeah.
they are literally a vehicle to drive the plot. That's all they do.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame because I do think that like the right couple, the right sort
Hmm.
of chemistry in this would elevate this film further.
Yeah, agreed.
And sort of like it would feel probably if you started with it feeling like a grand love affair at the
Hmm.
start of the film, when they start to sort of suspect each other later on, it would feel more
Hmm.
of a tragedy.
Hmm. Hmm.
But greatly, I just sort of feel with the both of them that they're both just kind of whiny.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just go, oh, okay, well, you're going to die, hopefully. So,
Yeah, yeah.
no great loss.
No,
Um,
yeah, I think it's a shame. I think I read that Julia Stiles was originally cast,
oh, really?
which I'm not sure she would have been any more suited to the role, really. I don't think she has that
Hmm.
energy that was required from this role either. She went off to do 10 Things I Hate About You, which is obviously perfect for her. That was the
Hmm.
right decision because that's the kind of character she's great at. Yeah, I don't know who would have been right for this, but it needs to be somebody. I mean, to be honest, somebody like Rose McGowan, probably, if she hadn't just been in Scream,
And I
would have
think,
been a lot better.
absolutely, I think someone who sort of knows what they're in,
Yeah. Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
because the reason I think we like, like Jennifer Tilly sort of shows up and what's the phrase? Like, she gets the assignment.
Yeah,
She's like,
100%.
oh, I know what this is, and I know exactly what I'm doing here, and you know, goes for it.
Hmm. Hmm. As
As
does the character she
both,
said playing David. Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and the same for David. He's like, oh, I get this. This is what it's for. And even like John Ritter as
Hmm.
Kincaid is like, oh, I've got to be a complete dick. Like this is, you know. And then when he gets like, well, I'm jumping back a bit. Like even like when he gets the nails in the face and all that, you're going like, oh yeah, he gets it. This is silly. Like he knows, like he's got to make a silly face and all that kind of stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
part of the course. Um, they don't seem to know that, and I think
No.
like he was hired for his washboard abs,
Hmm.
and I've never understood why anyone ever hired Katherine Heigl, to be perfectly honest. But
No. And then obviously they stopped hiring her after all the knocked up
yeah,
controversy. And how much of that is the boys' club and how much of that is her, I don't know. But
mm,
she seemed to find it quite hard to get work after the fallout
yeah,
from that, didn't she?
yeah. But let's because there was the stuff going on there. I'm glad you sort of talked about them. So they are they're very kind of the reason I wanted to get those in a box, as it were, because I
Yeah.
think they are quite wooden and get past that is because I wanted to go then on to the fun stuff.
Yeah. Good shout.
Because we do get now referred to as Alex Arquette in the titles for this, but now Alexis Arquette
Hmm.
playing Damien, the goth boyfriend of Tiffany.
Yeah.
Another one who sort of was like, yeah, I know exactly what this is, and sort of like playing sort of against oh, what's his name? The Marilyn Manson kind of thing and doing all that kind of
Yeah, I
stuff.
thought he
And
looked a bit
it's
like Brandon Lee in The Crow when he's first out in the rain coming into the
yeah.
trailer. Absolutely, yeah, very styled, very deliberately. Yeah.
Um and even his lines when he sort of he sort of gives her the photo and
Mhm.
he says, what's this? He's like, who is it? Who is it? And it's like, no, who was it? And it's sort of
Yeah.
there's a relish to the lines of sort of what they're
Yeah.
delivering.
And on his
Um
face in the photo, funnily enough.
yeah, she's a great gag again.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
That and this sort of said everything that sort of centers around Tiffany at this point, and
Yeah.
this whole scene of him trying to seduce her, and Petit Mort talks about that they call the orgasm in France, and also is again not rib tickling, but like I've they've lent into the camp and
Yeah.
they've lent into the silliness, and I'm like, I'm all for this.
Yeah, all enjoyable, all humorous, all like just
Mm,
keeping it together. I mean, we're getting up to 20, maybe 30 minutes by this point
mm.
in the movie, and I'm well in. I'm enjoying with these characters. I'm
Yes,
enjoying
absolutely.
everything I'm seeing, and I want to spend the time that it's taking. I'm enjoying the fact that we're having this kind of longer lead in because these people deserve that screen time for sure.
Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, they're kind of like, yeah, you're able to enjoy
Mm.
some of the other characters, and I like the fact they give Tiffany. I mean, you for Chucky, you've had like three films,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so they're like, look, Chucky, you're gonna get Chucky, but Chucky, like we're gonna give you. You need some context for
Mm.
Tiffany, and so we're gonna give you that context. And as you sort of said, like she's feisty, she's sort of clearly a nutcase, but like has a very sort of certain style and all that sort of
Hmm.
stuff. And you need all that context for Tiffany as a doll to work.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I'm saying there because I'm agree with you. Like, I think all this stuff is fun. Like
Mm.
she's seducing him, and when she realizes that Chucky has arisen, um, and then she does sort of ties up Damien on the bed and puts Chucky on there and starts doing the dance. And again, is it Ronnie Yu? It is, isn't it? Who
Yeah.
does is the director? Um, Again, that's a pretty good eye for some of this stuff. I think it did.
Mm.
He also did Freddy versus Jason, which I actually think is an underrated um addition to those franchises.
And definitely got off the back of this.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it sort of focusing on like Chucky's face with the lightning going
Mm.
and all this other stuff. And she's sort of talking about Chucky and how jealous he got as a boyfriend. Perfect. It's brilliant. Like it's kind
Yeah,
of
because he's sat on the
yes,
chest,
at
isn't he, at
his
that point?
chest.
Yeah, like immobile, like pretending to be a doll. Just wait. I love it. Just like Chucky has got a great sense of humor and a great sense of timing. Just waiting for the perfect moment. It's brilliant.
Yeah, because he's fully sentient, just sat there watching, and you say like he's
Yeah, yeah.
waiting for the moment. And one of the things that's happened in every film has been the moment that somebody
Mm.
sees Chucky for the first
Hmm.
time. Almost like they see the transition from doll to killer doll.
Yeah.
The most famous one being the first film where he sort of
Hmm.
comes alive in the arms of the mum, and then there's been those other things. Again, as you said, this one is brilliantly done. And again, every film they reference as many horror films as possible in
Yes,
this
that is
film.
true. Yeah, yeah.
And I've always taken that, as we say, we've seen Freddy's glove and Michael's mask and Jason's hockey mask, the chainsaw, da da da. This thing where like Chucky's head's going to turn around 180 degrees. I was like,
Hmm.
oh, they're now doing The Exorcist.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
sat
yeah.
um, but they're talking about he calls him Schmucky,
Yeah.
and he says, this little guy, isn't man enough for a woman like you. And his head turns around and he says, "It's not what it's not the size, it's what you do with it." And then his body twists around again, and I was just like, "Yeah, it's wonderfully funny." And then
Yeah.
obviously rips. And this always makes me sort of go like, covers my
Yeah.
mouth, rips the lip piercings out of Damien's face, and blood starts spurting everywhere. And then he suffocates him to death by putting a pillow of his face, and he sits on it whilst he's talking to Tiffany. So, what are your thoughts on this? On this sort of the first kill, the first proper kill we're really getting of the first, of the film.
I think well pitched because she's tied him up. She's tied Damon up, hasn't she?
Yeah, yeah.
And that kind of far-fetchedness of Chucky has always been. And I kind of understand the criticism, but I also dismiss it immediately out of hand. Like it's a doll. It's easy to get away from. So are Gremlins, but I still buy that
Mm-hmm.
Gremlins will be able to get me. And so yeah, I think it's really well done that Damien's tied up. And I agree with you. Like the amount of blood that comes out of that lip piercing would put anyone off ever getting
Yeah.
one. I think it's crazy. Um, so yeah, I really like the idea that he that Damien can't do anything about this, and I guess it's building Chucky back up in that sense of um, taking advantage of of the moments and understanding like that, as we said, that point to strike, and
Mm.
now elevate a little bit in that he's going to be humorous whilst he does it. He is going to have that quip. He's going to have something funny to say. I know that had been bleeding in a little bit more and more through each sequel, but we're all in now, aren't we, at this point?
Yeah, I mean, this is like late stage Freddy. This is, isn't it? It's just sort
Yeah,
of
for
like
sure. Yeah,
puns and jokes galore.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, I like it, and he's sort of like, hi, and he's sort of sat, and the guy's like struggling underneath him. Um, and instantly, the first one of the key things I recognize instantly is like, again, how good the puppetry is in this
oh yeah,
film. It's
mhm,
been elevated, and
yeah,
um, we were in '98. This is the sort of CGI is becoming a much bigger
mhm,
force, right? Everything, but the fact that they do stick with practical effects and all sorts of stuff, and some really great puppetry up close
mm.
as well is a real credit to them.
Yeah. I mean, I literally, I know this is what you're supposed to do, and this is almost a redundant statement, but I just forget. I completely forget.
Mm.
I'm totally bought in. I totally believe the world. I believe these characters, even when it's human Tiffany with child Chucky. She gives him a little kiss on the forehead, and yeah, I think because the quality, the work they're putting in is so good, I never once question it. Never once.
No, and that's absolutely agree. Like yeah, instantly I forget. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm watching
Mm,
like an animatronic dummy or an animatronic doll. Like, no, I'm completely buying that voice is coming from that
yeah,
that
that being. Yeah,
that being. Yeah.
yeah, 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 definitely.
Um,
And what a great makeover. And I've got well, I guess we'll talk about another makeover scene as well. But the redesign for Chucky with the stitch together looks so cool.
yeah, and it's twofold, isn't it? I mean, this is he did go into blades, so and it's stitched together that body from three.
Hmm.
But more importantly, this is obviously to parallel Frankenstein's monster.
Hmm.
This is, so you want that kind of, Frankenstein's monster look with the staples and everything
Hmm.
else. And so, yeah, I like that because this film is going to reference again quite heavily Bride of Frankenstein for about 5-10 minutes just to really hammer home like what it's trying to do. But no, I mean, this was for a long time. This was the Chucky look. I mean, like
Hmm.
every sort of pop culture paraphernalia that was Chucky from like
Hmm.
'98 to about 2018 was this iteration of Chucky, and so yeah, like it's a great design.
Mm.
It's very sort of iconic and very detailed as well, with all the
Mm.
stitching and stuff going on. Um, but we do get this. This should be a happy reunion. She has
Mhm.
brought him back. He has been, arisen, and they've now killed Damien. They're going to have to get rid of the body. And now Tiffany's going to explain that she's actually been looking for him for 10 years, which
Mhm.
fits in, and she wasn't able to until the body went into the evidence following three. And she's done this and she's been committed to this because on the night he died in 1988, she found this massive diamond ring on the mantelpiece of where they lived together, um, and assumed it was supposed to be an engagement ring. It turns out that Chucky had just murdered a woman called Vivian Van Pelt and stolen her jewelry, and it's worth about 5 or 6 grand easily. Um, and so, yeah, there was never any intention. In fact, he's going to laugh in her face at the actual suggestion of him ever proposing to her. Um, to which she is then going to turn this round and trap him in a Charles pen
Yeah.
in this double wide, and yeah, basically lock him in there while she goes to take a bath. But what do you think about this reveal of like why she's been committed to him for so long and stuff?
I think it's nice they thought about it. I mean, they didn't need to really.
Mm,
I think we just would have gone with the story, but I think it shows Mancini's control of this franchise and this story, and how committed he is to keeping everything within a sense of continuity, and impressively so managing it up until this point. And I think carrying on, he impressively manages to keep this all within one kind of single canon and continuity. So yeah, I really like it, and I think I totally buy why she would do that, and then why there would be this turn from her, and then this turn from him, and then
Mm.
I think this next section, where I agree it's a little bit laid on thick, is incredibly in keeping with what we've had so far, which is just fun, just absolutely fun. That she sat in the bath, flicking through the channels, landing on Bride of Frankenstein, and the extended kind of human death sequence for her. I think again, like perfectly paced, perfectly timed, to the point where, like, if it had gone on 10 seconds more, it would have been too long. If it had been
Mm.
10 seconds less, it wouldn't have been enough. They just really nail it, I think.
Yeah. Oh no. I think yeah. This whole section, it kind of again, it's one of those that and the fact you said is the continuity. Like Don Mancini's written all of these. He's kept it in mind, and he's clearly sort of like in this place of it being humorous, but the continuity is still tight. Like
Mm.
this is like Grant Morrison level, where he's like, right, everything counts. Like we all those things happened. Um, and you're right, but she turns home. She's obviously been out, and she comes back with also. This is where she introduces a bride for
Mm, mm,
Chucky.
mm.
The he's a good guy doll, and obviously this is 10 years later, so there are other dolls of the similar size for sale, and she's bought one in a wedding dress,
Mm, mm,
and it says something like, I promise to love, honor, and obey, and all this kind of stuff.
mm.
And she throws some rice at Chucky, and again, like, the puppetry is ace. How pissed he looks at
Yeah.
being humiliated in this sort of little kid's pen, and she goes to have a bath. And he uses the ring, the diamond
Mm.
ring from Vivian Van Pelt, to break out of the pen. And as you say, Tiffany's in the bath watching Bride of Frankenstein, and it's the "We Belong Dead,"
Mm.
and
Mm.
that's when Chucky hurtles in, pushes the television into the bath, and then she's electrocuted. But we should highlight as well. This is that again. I say it's laying on thick, but it's that combination, bringing in the electricity. Her death is the same as, actually, it's her death as Tiffany, but it's also her resurrection
Mhm.
as doll Tiffany. Um, and so yeah, it's not. I'm not saying it's clever. I'm not saying this is kind of up there as a highbrow. What do they call it? Sort of like
Like
elevated
prestige.
horror.
Yeah, elevated prestige horror. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's fun. It knows what
Yeah.
it wants to do, and it's having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
Because the moment of like, he does because there's again callbacks that like even Chucky doesn't know. Like when she tries to bring back Chucky and it doesn't work, she's like, "What a crock!"
Hmm.
And then he does it to transition immediately after she dies, to transition the soul into the doll. And then when it doesn't work again, he's like, "Oh, what a crock!" So it's
Hmm.
like you can see that they are made for each other. But then there's the moment that she lurches out of the bath, and at the same time, the Tiffany doll stands up. And again, a great shot over, like, sort of, you've got Chucky in the foreground, like,
Hmm.
puppet
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Chucky. And then all of a sudden, she just sort of like looks at her hands and her face and just starts screaming.
Yeah.
And it makes him, makes him jump. But then he turns around and you're expecting, like, whatever, and he just punches him out.
Is this one of the moments of, because Ronnie uses split diopter a few
Yes.
times? I think this is one of the moments,
Yes.
isn't it, where the back of the frame and the front of the frame are both in focus, very De Palma.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he chooses to do that, it's really cool. And I would definitely want to mention the approach from Chucky to the bathroom as well. The kind of psycho
Oh,
approach.
through the shower screen.
That's amazing, that shot. I mean, I
Yeah.
always love seeing like full Chucky movement anyway, and how they manage to do that. But yeah, when it comes up close, he's looking through the shower curtain. It's so eerie and so cool.
Yeah. And again, like, this is that thing of like, this is a different, it's the same Chucky, but this is a slightly different Chucky.
Hmm.
I think the Chuckies in the past felt not so much restrained,
Mm.
but kind of, especially in three, there was like a meanness to Chucky. They were
Hmm.
going for like a mean Chucky. This almost feels childlike, like they are
Mm.
suggesting that he's childlike. Like this is it's not so much that he isn't killing people because he's mean.
Hmm.
This is like, no, life is hilarious and fun. Like, this is almost like Joker-esque in that way of like,
Yeah.
it's not the grand plan, but it's like, isn't killing people hilarious?
It's interesting that, and I guess at this point he can't have meant it. Maybe he did. I don't know. I don't know how smart Mancini is in terms of what he was plotting ahead, but it fits in the arc of Chucky as well, in how he's starting to accept
Mm.
his position as I am now Chucky the doll, and I'm gonna. It might even be the next movie. I can't remember for sure, and I don't want to spoil what you've got coming up. But there's definitely that point where he is like, "This is who I am now, and I'm just gonna roll with it and enjoy it." Whereas up until now, it's always been about escaping being the doll, hasn't it? And trying to get back into a human body and trying to possess Andy's body. And
This
this
is,
feels like the first step on that. Like, this
yeah.
is actually not so bad, you know?
I'm so glad you've said this, right? Because I was going to save this to the end. Because
Hmm.
I think the full acceptance of this comes at the end,
Hmm.
and we'll get there. But when he gets shot and he's like, "Fine, shoot me, I'll be back. I always
Right.
come back." Is that thing of
Yeah.
like, I am inevitable almost. It's not often this happens, right? I'm going to make a very brief comparison, an
Mm.
Alan Moore comparison
Mm.
for Child's Play. This may be a first in the history of Child's Play, to be perfectly honest. But I actually, as I was thinking about this today, as I was sort of contemplating this, I thought about Swamp Thing,
Hmm.
and because the initial Swamp Thing is Alan Holland gets turned into Swamp Thing, and all of that original run, for the most part, is how does he become
Mm.
Alec Holland again, right? So he's
Hmm.
looking to become Alec Holland, the man, and leave Swamp Thing behind. And it's Alan Moore that says, in that, spoilers for a 40-year-old comic, but he basically says, "You were never Alec Holland. You're an avatar of the Green that has taken on the memories and consciousness of Alec Holland. Like, his body is still out there. He's dead."
Hmm.
This is this film where it's kind of
Mm.
like Chucky, yes, by the end of this film, comes face to face with his own original mortality
Mm.
and
Mm.
goes, "Yeah, Charles Lee Ray is dead.
Hmm.
Chucky is alive, and I am Chucky." If that makes sense. And so
Yeah.
he's transitioned from this kind of, "Oh, I'm looking to inhabit my soul into the body of a boy or a person or whatever." Now it's, I'm Chucky and I am free
Mm.
to be the Chucky doll that the killer doll in whatever form. And so I think this is that film that kind of is the
Mm.
Alan Moore switching moment
Mm.
of like, oh yeah, no, I'm no longer I no longer have human mores and restraints and morality. Like, I'm
Mm.
something completely different, so I'll do whatever the fuck I want now.
Hmm.
um
Yeah, that
but,
totally tracks. Now, by
yeah,
seeing your own skeleton,
yeah,
that would probably help you come to that decision, I would have thought.
yeah. So yeah, not often I think that we get to manage to bring Alan Moore into a
Nice,
Child's
I
Play
like it.
franchise, but there you go. Um, but yeah, no, you're right though. This is Chucky Unleashed. I think this is that thing for Don
Mm.
Mancini where even he's a bit like, it's kind of boring just trying to have him chase down people to put himself back in the body. Let's embrace
Mm.
the opportunities we have for this character.
Particularly when you have a cool, badass Tiffany doll
Yes.
to, to go hit the road with and to get up to shenanigans with.
Yes, following a fantastic, uh, like Pretty in Pink,
Mm.
montage of getting ready. So turning from this sort of brunette bride
Yeah,
doll into,
it's a Blondie song, is it? I think.
it's Blondie. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, just like perfectly picked as well.
yeah. It's so fun of seeing her doing her eyeshadow and
I mean, it
the
is the bit where
lipstick and
like, you this is the total suspension of disbelief. I mean, crazy to say that in a movie about like walking, talking killer dolls, but she just happened to have these doll-sized Doc Martens there. Like, oh, fuck it, who cares? Like, Tiffany looks
yeah,
badass, so it's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, she shows she has a collection of dolls, but you're right. She just happens to have one that, like with Doc Martens, a biker jacket.
Yeah,
I don't think that's how bleach works on doll hair
right.
either,
Yeah.
but like, fine, it doesn't matter.
The
Like,
haircut goes from like a like a French bob to like
Yeah,
long flowing block. Whatever, it's fine.
it
Yeah,
doesn't matter. She look, as you said, she looks ace. Like it's a
yeah.
really and Chucky is, you know,
His
uh,
reaction says a lot. Yeah,
yeah, he's like, yeah,
more
it's
great work from the facial puppet masters, but yeah,
yeah, oh,
he's
absolutely. That kind of got
he's
the
more
eyes
than
open.
happy with what
Yeah,
she does. Yeah.
yeah, which we'll talk about shortly. Yeah, and again, I'm buying all this. I'm
Yeah.
absolutely like instant. The moment the, there are few horror characters that I think appear on screen, and you go, "That's it." Like
Hmm.
that's it. You've nailed it. Like Chucky's changed.
Mm.
Like Jason Voorhees went through a massive transition.
Mm.
Michael probably. Michael Myers, but like Freddy ended up becoming something slightly different.
Mm.
Like Tiffany appears on screen, and you just go, you've nailed it. Like
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
Like this is just that. What is it? We're talking 20 plus years later, and Tiffany has not had to change at all.
Hmm.
Like that
Hmm.
design is so perfect and modeled to Jennifer Tilly in the best possible way. Um, but yes, but the fact is that out of this, they've also got to find in order to um get it because they are still looking to get out of their bodies at this point early in the
Mm.
film. The only way to do it without having the rules which were applied in the first film of the first person you tell your secret to, um, they have to have the Heart of Dumbala, which is an amulet, a retcon
Hmm.
that was buried with the body of Charles Lee Ray in Hackensack, New Jersey, and so this is where they bring in the young couple.
Yeah.
Um, we've got two inanimate dolls, and then we've got Tiffany and Chucky.
Yeah.
Um, to travel across the
Very
country.
good.
I know it's good. Yeah. And so they tell Jesse. She basically sort of says, calls him and says, if you can take these two dolls across country to Hackensack, New Jersey, there's basically a grand in it for you.
Yeah.
Come pick them up and take them. And he agrees to do it, and he will use this opportunity and this money then to run away with Jade.
Hmm.
And so the setup is that, and it's all there now. They're going to get in the van, and they're going to make a run for it. Um, and this is where again I like all this road trip stuff, and we'll get as we get into it. But the more I think about it, the more inconsequential Jade and Jesse are. Like I don't
Hmm.
really like their story of being like they get set up. Like um, Chief Kincaid knows what's going to happen, and so he sneaks into the van, plants some drugs, and then as they're on the road, they get stopped by um, the officer. Is it Ellis or yeah, Lieutenant Ellis,
Yeah, the
whoever it is.
deputy guy. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Pinhead. I think they call him like Needle Nose. They call
Needle
him
Nose.
not
Yeah,
Pinhead. That comes in later.
yeah.
Um,
Um, and so yeah, they kind of again like they sort of Jade and Jesse are there at this point to transition
mhm.
Chucky and Tiffany to new scenes. That's it.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
That's kind of the purpose of them. They're a bit. That's why they're so 2D. But their first kill is Chief Kincaid in the back of the
Mm.
van as he's planting the drugs, and this exchange between Tiffany and Chucky again is almost like delightful in its sort of silliness. Chucky grabs a knife and
Mm.
Tiffany's like, "Ugh, you're so 80s." Like we need to, you need to sort of change things up a little bit. Let me try something. And she even starts quoting what's the name of the chef or the Martha Stewart.
Oh, Martha Stewart. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What does Martha say when guests turn around? You improvise. And so
Mhm.
and he's like, who the fuck is Martha Stewart? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah. But this is the pinhead thing. She has the nails on the steering wheel or on the front console,
Mhm.
and sets and as Kincaid looks through, this sets off the uh, what's it airbags
Yeah, yeah.
blasting. Which, to be fair, never gets picked up. At no point does Jesse or
No,
Jade get in the car
it's
and go,
true.
this big airbag, just deflated airbag, and it flies all these nails into his face. And as you say, Chucky says, Why does that look so familiar?
Mhm.
Um, but
Very
yeah,
clever.
again, yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts? They're now sort of, you know, Tiffany's on board being Tiffany, and she's now killing. How are you finding their chemistry now as a pair of killer dolls?
I mean, I think just as good as it was when, as before. I think her voice work is
Mm,
just as good as his, and that's saying a lot considering how heralded he is, and rightly so, for his performance as Chucky through these movies. But again, reading a little bit about it, and I watched that documentary, as I said to you
mm,
last night, Living with Chucky, like the fact that they got them together in the sound booth, literally recording opposite each other, I think was a great idea, that they were feeding and improvising and just
mm.
totally working together to create these kind of uh,
Moments.
moments of chemistry, right? Of like kind
Mm,
of, and it feels really in the moment. It doesn't feel like this has been rehearsed and has been practiced and now it's been delivered by Roe. It feels like organic moments which are happening and that we're being privy to seeing for sure.
yeah. Is this? I mean, that's an interesting question actually, because I haven't seen that documentary yet, and I didn't check this. I'm assuming then that their audio is done first, and the puppets are working, or the puppeteers are working to that audio track.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's how they talk about it in this documentary for sure. Yeah. So all
yeah,
the voiceover work done a few months before filming, and then where they've been improvising, where they've decided that's a good take and that's a good line for sure. Yeah, then that's what's being used. I assume through playback on
hmm
the set as as they're actually acting it out. Yeah.
and that as you sort of say, you can see that chemistry is there. You can see that
Mm,
playfulness, and it works. Because they have one of the things that sort of in the earlier films that isn't there, and is, but I think because they've probably restricted on the puppetry and other bits and pieces, is reactionary noises.
hmm.
Everything's dialogue, and I think we you see this in this the gasps or the sort of like the little chuckles or whatever um that are there in live action performances,
Mm,
and they've never been a part of Chucky because they haven't been able to do them properly, so
hmm.
they've kind of
Hmm.
sort of left them out. This is where, like, he has like a sneering little chuckle, and they'll sort of gasp, and they both of it, and by adding that, I think it brings them to life so
Mm,
much more,
mm.
and they have the chemistry. I mean, these are, the title characters, and so yeah, they needed it. But I'm so glad that, yeah, they do. They're just fun. They're just so funny together. Um, but yeah, so they do kill Kincaid, move on, and the first thing they do is they get stopped and pulled over
Mm.
by Needle Nose for the drug search to happen. And they can't let this happen. Chucky's found the weed and is just sort of cracking on with that. That's
I
fine.
love the fact that he's been smoking and then
Yeah.
like neither of those looks in, doesn't smell it.
No. Yeah. Doesn't notice it at all.
No.
Um, or anybody else actually at that
Well,
point.
good point.
Like
Yeah.
nobody else comes back and is like, "Wow, that's
Yeah.
really strong." um, but as you say, that Dev's been pulled over. There's this whole rigmarole about sort of being, the drugs are being found because they've
Mm.
got Kincaid's body in there, so you need to find the drugs rather than the body. And then they've split Jesse and Jade up.
Yeah, a very weird moment that.
Yeah, so that they can. She goes off to buy snacks, and then he's confronted. And then, whilst they are separated, um, things start to go a bit pear shaped when they're like, "Well, we can't have him calling this in. We've got to get going." And so Chucky gets out, crawls to the back of Needle Nose's police car, puts a shirt in that he's found at the back of Jesse's van, and basically does a Molotov cocktail in the back of the
Yeah.
police
Yeah.
car, which then explodes everywhere.
Mm.
Massive explosion. But it has two fantastic little moments in it. The first is as Chucky's sort of crawling along the floor. We've had this guy that's smoking weed in his car,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
he looks up, and Chucky just sort of gives him the finger, and he's like, "Rude fucking doll," um, which is a fun little moment. And then also when Needle Nose is about to be exploded, he looks up, and Chucky and Tiffany are waving at him from the back of the van. and then boom. And so like, yeah, it's again, it's a pretty good explosion. It's
Hmm.
fun. It's silly. Chucky is learning to improvise.
Mm, mm. Yeah,
He's
yeah. Tiffany's inspiring him, right?
yeah, they are now bouncing off each other
Mm,
with ways to kill people. Um, and so yeah, but this is what drives or starts to drive the wedge
mm.
between Jesse and Jade because they now think each other blew up the police car to kill the officer.
Yeah.
Um, which is an instant moment of if they stopped and talked,
Mm.
none of this would actually be, would be a problem. Um, but that's not how this is going to work. Um, but yeah, all this is. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Again, this sort of killing. It's all good. It's all fun. You're still sort
Yeah,
of digging it.
for sure. It's all just in keeping. I think um well it's a sign of what more is to come, I think, because I think they're starting to ramp up the
Mm,
silliness. So like the moments are great, and I was laughing along remembering them as you were talking about them, but the kind of stoner reaction and all this stuff is like, oh, okay, we're going there. All right, fine. Well, let's go then. Like we've already started pretty big, but we're getting bigger and we're going there. So I think it's well paced in terms of how much it's expecting you to buy into as an audience member, which certainly peaks at the hotel. Um, but yeah, I think they're designing these sequences well. I did
mm,
think actually with the with the nails, how they did it.
mm.
And then obviously there's a moment later when David comes back in. It did feel a little bit kind of precursor. This is pre-Final Destination, right? It felt a little bit kind of, all right, so Scream influenced you, but I do wonder
Yeah.
if the writers of Final Destination maybe were fans of Bride of Chucky as well.
Yeah, I can see the link. I can definitely see that sort of evolutionary link of like we're going to try different things, especially
Yeah.
like say with David's death in particular.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, but yeah, I like to say about the pacing of this. I think one of the things that I've always appreciated, even three has its moments.
Hmm.
It's as I sort of said, I do say in the episode, like it has a bunch of good ideas.
Hmm.
It just fails to sort of deliver on them in the best possible way.
Right. Yeah.
But I think Don Mancini has this thing in his head of like, this is how this has got to escalate. Like,
Hmm.
can't do this too early. This is what we're looking for. I mean, the first film, it's almost like halfway through the film before you
Mm.
fully
Hmm.
see
Hmm.
Chucky and all this other stuff. So you're right. He has this idea of pace and escalation. And this film does hit pretty high then. I'm like, this shit's going to get crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and But they do. They get to this hotel. They get to Niagara Falls.
Hmm. Yeah. So is this where they get married? Is this bit?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So they get married. They're in some horrible, like almost Vegas-esque.
Chapeau love type thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And they're both sort of convinced the other one's killed, and they're a little bit a little bit worried. The fact they
Because
went through the wedding still feels weird that they
Because
did
the
that, but
sheriff, the uncle, has come back by this point, hasn't he? He wakes up. He's not actually. Before this, he's up, hasn't he, in the back of the van? I'm sure.
yeah, no, because David sees the body. Oh, and do
Because
they
we
sort of
think he's dead, don't we, for the nail gun? But then it turns out that he's not. He wakes up. Is this after this? This must be after them because this is the reveal to them that Chucky and Tiffany are
mm,
alive, isn't it? So this comes even later.
yeah, he
I
sort of
bet. Oh,
jumps out
fine.
because
Okay.
because
Yeah.
David sees his body, doesn't he? David sees his body in
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
the thing, which is where he sort of yeah.
He
Or
notices the blood coming out underneath the
yeah,
seat, doesn't he?
or does he? No, I can't, you're right. I can't be sure what it comes out because he does jump out and they basically push the nails like into his face
Yeah.
even more and stuff. So I think that might actually have come earlier because that's what
I
causes the
think that is on the
blood.
way to the wedding, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what cause they stop and they're arguing and that's when it happens and then
Hmm.
they put him back. Yeah, because they both go like ah, and the doll's head sort of jiggle and stuff. Yeah, so that has happened. So they've re-killed
Hmm.
Kincaid, but that has caused the bleeding, which I think is what David
Yeah.
sees. But they do, yeah. But after they go to the wedding, and they meet this
Hmm.
hideous thieving couple.
Like a couple of grifters, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and what I think's hilarious is you get this weird morality of
Hmm. Hmm.
Tiffany. She sees them using this wedding thing to steal from another newlywed couple, and this highly offends Tiffany.
Hmm.
She's like thieving bitch. So it's fine to kill people in what you do in your pursuit of what you need, but to steal from another woman or another bride is like
Yeah, on their wedding night,
that's
and they're so in love.
yeah,
Hmm.
is a step too far. And so she's going to go and take revenge on this other couple. And she does so by going into they've got a heart-shaped bed. They've all got water beds.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
They
is
look like the worst invention ever.
absolutely. um, but above that is a mirrored sort of heart-shaped ceiling as well. And as they go in, one of them, they're in the bed, one of them looks up, and Tiffany stood there with a bottle of champagne that she throws up into the mirrored ceiling, and all the glass falls down into into them and the
Hmm.
waterbed. Um, it's a well done again.
I mean, it is ridiculous, but what a brilliant effect. It's
Yeah,
so good. Like the explosion of the water and the
yeah,
blood that comes up. Again, maybe think of like Nightmare on Elm Street when Johnny Depp gets sucked down into bed. I don't know if
yeah.
that's deliberate, but potentially, I guess, considering the movie and all the other references they made. Oh, wow. It's such a good effect. It's awesome.
It is.
It's my favorite bit in the movie, I think, I have to
Yeah,
say.
yeah. But everything about it, the way it's framed as well, because they don't see Tiffany standing at the end of their bed.
No, because they're hooking up at this point, aren't they? They're
Yeah, they
enjoying
see.
themselves in reveling in their success.
Yes, they see Tiffany in the mirror
Hmm.
above them. And again, like she's just stood there, facial expression, like grinning, but but only in the fact she's going to get her, moral justice, I
Yeah, yeah.
assume. Um, and as you say, this is where like the blood and water gushes out, and you see like Chucky step back from it,
Mm.
which just such a small little thing, but I really like. And then he's like, "I love you."
Yeah.
um, yeah, these people are very broken.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, he does confess his love to each other, and we have a love scene,
Yeah,
which
I'm anatomically correct and I'm
yeah,
feeling something.
that's
They're
yeah,
not, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he says.
yeah. Again, this is that thing about the little noises
Hmm.
that because he sort of says, I'm anatomically correct," and yeah, and she gives us there's
Yeah.
like like a leering sound that she makes that is so funny. Um, and then the joke of, wait, Chucky, do you have a rubber?
Hmm. Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all done in silhouette, isn't it? It's all done quite classily, actually, to be fair. It's their silhouettes on the wall
Yeah.
as they're looking up. Pre-Team America, of course. Chucky got
Yes.
there first. Chucky did puppet sex before,
Before Team America.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, but again, it's just kind of like you say, you're going, oh, you're going there. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, fine. Like,
Almost feels kind of Austin Powers level of innuendo, like
yes.
I think of the scene in the second one when it's Heather Graham's character when she's in the tent, and it's the whole like looks like the put lots of things inside her, but they're not because it's the position she stood in. It
Yeah.
has that kind of feel, and again, it's telling me like, all right, now we're going there. Okay, all right, yeah, we're going there, and I'm with you for the ride.
Yeah. No, yeah, we are absolutely like this is, oh, we're stepping up again. And
Yeah.
okay, fine, cool. Like, this is it. Um, and it will step up not only the sort of the like the innuendo and the silliness, like the action is about to ramp up as well.
Hmm.
Because they've been both calling both Jade and Jess have called David, and David's basically made this conclusion that well, if the other one thinks the other one has done it, then clearly neither of them have done it.
Hmm.
So he comes to try and straighten them out. And to an extent, he does.
Hmm.
It's good to have a very sensible gay best friend, like who's gonna put you on the straight and narrow. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so they continue their journey, and he's the one that's going like, "Can you smell that? Like, there's something
Mm.
bad in here." And he ends up opening one of the chest up and sees Kincaid's body, realizes that actually he may have been duped,
Mm.
and that they have killed someone or that they haven't, but he pulls Kincaid's gun on them, and so they pull over. Um, and as he's doing so, um, he steps out the van, and as they're sort of arguing, they turn around, and both Chucky and Tiffany have also got guns, and they're going like, "Get back in the van!" And the shock of it means David steps out and gets hit by a truck in a very, as you sort of say, Final Destination way. I don't think people explode like that when they get hit by trucks.
No, I mean I don't know firsthand, thankfully, but yeah, I assume you're right.
Like he explodes a bit like a pumpkin when you sort of throw it on the
Mm.
floor, but um, it's a good effect.
Mm.
But this is the moment where they have revealed themselves, and we get another meta line when they acknowledge that they've heard of Chucky, but
Hmm.
how did you get here? And he actually says, basically a lot's happened.
Mm.
If it was a film, it would
Hmm.
take 2 or 3 sequels to do it justice.
Yeah,
Which is a nice little meta nod.
yeah, for sure.
But then they get chased by police, and they sort of it has a moment where Chucky basically sort of uses Jade to push open the back door, and it's kind of cool. Chucky's then stood at these open doors at the back of the van. He's just shooting at a police car that's coming down. That's very Mickey and Mallory. Like that's very
Mm.
sort of
Mm. Bonnie and Clyde, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So I like the fact that it's having these nods to like these are a crazed Bonnie and Clyde, Mickey and Mallory kind of thing of on the road,
yeah.
the sort of loving criminals on the road.
Hmm.
Is is a lot of fun. Uh, yeah, but they need to ditch the van.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so they've got everything. They don't get rid of Kincaid's body, I assume, because he's still in the van.
It's true. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm fine with that. But they managed to get um a like an RV, I think is the
Hmm.
American term.
Hmm.
And yeah, it I kind of love this moment. This is again that sort of silliness of Jesse is driving, Jade is tied up,
Mm.
Chucky's sat in the front with a gun, and Tiffany's making cookies.
Yeah. She wants to be Martha Stewart. She's a hero.
That's it.
Yeah.
Opens a cupboard and the dead old couple are there. She's sorry, and sort of closes it again. Like
She has this weirdly traditional values in many ways, doesn't she? As you said, like those righteousness about do not steal. Even if you've tied your guest up, you should entertain them. You should feed them. So yeah, there's this fun little kind of quirky moments for sure. Yeah.
yeah, she's like an odd little trad wife that like
Yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah. That
it's
also
so
has sideline in murder. Yeah.
yeah. Well, that seems to be this is 2025. It's probably not too far from certain things that are happening on that side of the
Yeah.
spectrum. Um, but yeah, this thing of like this is where I think the chemistry of Jesse and Jade, or the lack of chemistry of Jesse and
Mm-hmm.
Jade, really affects or impacts the how this scene or this section works. If you had people that were like less wooden and more likable, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, there was something more about them. The idea of sort of like Chucky and Jesse sat up front. I mean, this is kind of like almost traditional, isn't it? Like the guys sat up front in the driving
Mm-hmm.
seats, and it could fit. You could really play up this sense of kind of like we're like friends on a road trip. Like, look at what we're doing, and they could be chatting about things, but they're not good enough to give that
No,
sort of quality.
that's fair. I think the final third is the weakest section for me. I
Mm,
think what you said is absolutely true. I think we've split up the two most interesting characters and the two most charismatic performers for this section here, which is a shame. But also when it becomes a little bit formulaic, we get
yeah,
into that kind of the final section to get the thing to turn into the people we kind of abandon all the stuff up until this point that has really been working and fall back on what we've done before plot wise, I think. So I'll be honest, I sort of my interest and my concentration wanes a little bit here,
Mm.
despite there still being, as what I'm sure we're about to talk about, some really good moments. But just by and large, I'm sort of feeling a bit less interested. I can't find a better word than that terrible two-word phrase. But I'm just just my focus is waning now at this point in the movie, I think.
No, I agree. I think the thing is, um, in all honesty, I think Don Mancini sort of struggles to end
Mm.
his films.
Hmm.
All the Chucky films, I think, suffer from this
Mm.
to varying degrees. Like we talked, when I sort of spoke to Dan about Child's Play 2,
Mm.
like I love all the factory stuff, and then it's like, I'm not sure what to end. I'm not sure what to do now. Let's just have them walk out the factory. End. And you're like,
Right. Yeah.
no, that feels like there should be a little bit more to this, you know. And so there's little bits like that in the same. I think the same with the first one. Kind of like,
Mm.
they have a gag and then he'll bring it to an end. And I think he's never quite wholly comfortable at how to wrap up
Hmm.
the human story of each of the events, because he's
Mm.
so fucked up. He's like,
Interesting.
I'm not really sure how to wrap this up. And I think the
Mm.
problem with this is it's already happening, that we're like, well, what do I want to do with Jade and Jesse? Like, how does this work out?
Mm.
Like, I need we need some more. How do you do a climax? Like, this needs to have some more killing or something, but it doesn't
Yeah.
really.
I,
You've only,
I almost could have done with them being written out. I could have done with them, well, us cutting to the RV. I know
Mm,
they can't technically drive it. I don't know, like with them being the ones that are stuffed in there, I might be just a bit more interested if it had been a final sequence just with Chuck and Tiffany. I don't know. Like, yeah, I hear you. There's just they've been non throughout, and they just continue to be non all the way to the end, really, don't they?
yeah, and that's the problem. If they were interesting,
Mm.
then I think this would be easier
Yeah,
to sort of to follow and to take, because you care about Jade and
yeah,
Jesse.
their fate. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't give a shit.
Mm.
In all honesty,
Mm.
um, and I think that if anything, I think this needs like one more kill,
Hmm. Hmm.
like one more like crazy kill or one more sort of thing. So you have the whole thing with the RV. I like the argument,
Hmm.
the way it gets set up. She brings the cookies and he's like, if I'd have known this marriage deal was such a sweet
Hmm.
gig, like I'd have done it earlier. And he highlights it like, yeah, but she's not, exactly a great housekeeper. Like, look at the state of the kitchen. Tells her to do the dishes, to which there's obviously, my mother always told me, what's the, yeah, if you're happy to cook for him, the least he could do is do the dishes. So that
Hmm.
starts this sort of domestic between the two of them. And I think that's fun. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
again, I think Brad Dourif, Jennifer Tilly are clearly having a whale of a time doing this in a booth somewhere, um, and it works. Everything between them two works.
Mm.
But then the moment Tiff gets kicked into the oven is where I go, oh
Right. Is she out of? Because at this point, the first time watch, is she out of it now? That's her done. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, oh, that's really like an anticlimax for
Mm.
for Tiff, because she's great. Like, I want more of that. And then it sort of it leads to this explosion and the crash and all this other stuff, and they do split them up. So
Mm.
they have this thing of like, oh, Jesse ends up with Tiffany and Jade ends up with Chucky, like,
Hmm.
and again, that's not taken advantage of.
Mm.
Where you're like, that should really be like, there's a wife swapping situation. There's at least a joke in this somewhere.
Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And yeah, so this whole ending feels incredibly rushed to me. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And as the pursuit, as the goal at this point again is to get into a human body.
mm,
There's so much to be mined here about the fact that now Chucky, it looks like, only has the choice of going to Jade's body.
yeah,
Well, what? Let's play with that. That's really interesting. Let's have some jokes. Let's have some discussion about the fact that okay, well, knowing Chucky, knowing Charles, he'll probably just get on with it because it's his goal and it's fun. He'll figure that out later. So, but there's so much that could be done, but it feels like this is where it's that kind of falling into the convention, I think, a little bit. And we're now, as you said, I'm not sure what to do here, so I'll just rush to the end. And
mm. And that's
yeah, it's a
it.
shame.
It does. I mean, yeah, I kind of feel like if you had a gravedigger there, or a sort of like a
Mm-hmm.
another kill that allowed this to extend a bit and have that conversation of being like, almost replaying that conversation from the very first film. That when he learns about he's going to have to inhabit Andy's body, he makes a comment about every person he's going to have to inhabit. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
in the first one, he's like, "I'm going to be a 6-year-old boy." In the third one, it's 91, so it's not exactly PC or anything, but he refers to having trying to get into the boy. And so Chucky's going to be a bro.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you go, cool. Chucky's going to be a chick.
Yeah.
Like you've
Yeah,
you've
yeah, yeah.
made you've
It's right
made
there.
that comment throughout. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why not continue it? You know, um, yeah, or in a comment like that's the tightest my ass is ever going to be, sort of
Right.
something.
Yeah.
It could be
Anything. Yeah.
misogynistic, like, but it needs to. He needs to be commenting on Jade,
Yeah.
um, and it does. It just feels kind of rushed, and so um, I do feel that Don Mancini sort of ran out of steam at this point. Like,
Mm.
he's really going to
Mm.
like, because you've now got this other detective that kind of turns up
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Yeah. Very like Dr. Loomis, isn't it, in Halloween? Very much like, bing, I'm here now and I'm going to resolve everything. I'm the
Yeah,
expert on the situation. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I know he's been on TV a little bit in throughout the film, but like you need that.
Yeah.
There needed to be more of that.
Like he was
If
just one step behind them all the way. Like,
Yeah,
as they
absolutely,
drive off from David being smushed, he then turns up. But yeah, absolutely, yeah.
you should have scenes of him actually being at those scenes and
Yeah,
like going
yeah,
like, what are these kids doing? Like, what
yeah.
is going on?
This pattern
Kind of,
doesn't make any sense. Like,
yeah, like
absolutely, yeah.
um, even to have like, yeah, even have him look at some CCTV footage and going like, how that what I'm not sure they're doing this. Like, I
Yeah,
have doubt because the footage shows them being here at this time, and we know this killing happened at this time.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
it's not adding up, but there are only suspects. Who are we not looking at? Like, it needs to have that running in tandem, maybe, as you say.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would have been more interesting to have him turn up. Or,
Mhm.
and I think it would have been interesting to have this, is obviously have Sarandon come back from the
Oh,
first
okay.
film.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, because he's still around. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would have been interesting. Like, you think that that's the detective that's gonna turn up,
Mm.
and then you have the detective from Chicago turn up from the first film, being like, "I've been watching this on telly, and
Yeah.
I knew exactly who this was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I killed you the first time. I'm going to kill you again." That would have been interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and then have him killed or something. Like, I don't know.
Mm.
It just something needs to have happened. Something bigger needs to happen at the end of this film
Mm.
for it to feel like a real climax.
No, that's really interesting because that's where the Scream movies have gone, haven't they? As they've moved into the post meta
Yeah.
Screamness, where they're now referencing themselves and bringing back the kind of legacy characters. That's the sort of thing they've been doing, isn't it? So you're
Mm.
right. This could have been a little bit ahead of the curve here as well of bringing these older characters back and almost building us up, as you said, to expect them to be the hero at the end. But then if he gets killed almost instantly, that would have been really fascinating, really interesting, and ups the stakes again. Well, this
Yeah.
guy survived before, not this time. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So I just think I do feel the ending. Weirdly, I think having Chucky trapped in the grave. I mean, it's
Hmm.
funny when he gets thrown in and he
Yeah,
sort of reacts to his own body.
great overhead shot of him like moving around. It's so good.
Yeah, that's a really good shot. It also
Yeah.
feels like a bit of a metaphor for the end of this film. Is just Chucky running around trapped in a box, going like, "I'm not sure
Sure.
what to do. Let me out." And you're going like, oh, "Okay, it looks cool, but I'm not entirely
Yeah.
sure this is the best ending." Um, you've had the confrontation between you've had Tiff has come back,
Hmm.
and you've had this kind of confrontation between Tiffany and Chucky of like, my mother told me, being in love would set me free, and this is whole thing of being a prisoner to love, which doesn't really get explored much. It's just a line.
Yeah, I don't buy the Tiffany face turn at all.
No.
I think it really lets this ending down. Um, she essentially turns into the good the good guy. again, no pun intended, at the end.
Yeah.
That she wants to save Jade and Jesse because of her belief in love. And I know you've had a couple of drop lines here and there, but yeah, I don't like this the way the dynamic between these two ends in this way at all, really.
Well, I actually think more. I think because she's clearly has she's she's wanted to do stuff with Jesse since the start of the
Yes.
film.
Yeah.
Um, but I almost think like because they acknowledge that at one point that they are going to have use Jade and Jesse
Hmm.
as the thing. Well, I think that should be a bone of contention between Chucky and
Mm.
Tiffany. Like Chucky's going like, look at this young, attractive couple that we could be getting into right now, and Jade's the one. Sorry, Tiffany's the one saying, no, not them.
Mm. Yeah. 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 Definitely. Yeah.
You know, they've got their life ahead of them. They're a young, in love couple. Like, no, not them. And I think if that, she can do all the other killing and sort of
Hmm.
almost
Hmm.
like, that almost to me makes the hotel killing more
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
common
Protecting these
sense.
two. They're both protecting these two on the way, but for their own motivations. But that's also providing conflict between the two of them all the way. That's a
Yeah,
much tighter idea, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. And at the end of it is then, or we'll find someone when we get to New Jersey. Like we'll find,
Mm.
people get the amulet, then we'll go and find someone that we can inhabit.
Hmm.
That would be, I think, say it would be a tighter idea. And then when it
Mm.
comes down to this kind of Tiffany is injured,
Hmm.
and actually they don't have a choice that they're going to have to use um, Jade and Jesse, and then she said, she's actually we belong dead, and she's come to that conclusion rather
Yeah.
than ruin their young love, would kind of feel a bit more sincere, a bit
Hmm.
more authentic, and probably make her a more interesting character on
Mm.
that front.
Mm.
Yeah, I know we obviously often rewrite these things, but
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah. Just I'm here to be a script doctor for hire. Don't worry. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
But yeah, no, but yeah, I mean, the detective turning up and seeing it is very much sort of in line with the things that have happened in the past. Of like, oh shit, this
Mhm.
thing's real. Not entirely sure what to do with it. But I do think this is that moment, as you sort of said before, of Chucky turning and um,
Mhm. Mhm.
becoming
Yeah.
Chucky. Like this is that realization. Charles Lee Ray is dead.
Yeah.
Long live Chucky.
Yeah, because
Uh,
what's interesting, that moment works, and the very end moment, which we'll definitely have to talk about, really, I think really works as like a stinger. But then all this bit in between is all just a bit, I've got a gun, I'm shooting, I've got a thing. But it's all, we've been praising Ronnie Yu, and I think rightly so. There's some really fantastic creative choices he
mm,
makes. This all feels, again, just a bit like, okay, I'm tight on Chucky here, I'm tight on this character here. There doesn't seem to be, other than the overhead shot, too much kind of directive inspiration here either. It just feels a bit like, let's wrap this up.
I think there's two reasons for this.
Mm.
I think it is. Um, I think this is of all the sets we have had,
Mm.
and there's been several that are like the car park where the car explodes.
Hmm.
Clearly a set, but you can get it looks outdoorsy enough, but it's still a set. You can tell it's
Yeah.
you know that has that slightly too clean and set up aesthetic to not be a set. This graveyard scene at the end
Hmm.
is so evidently a set.
Yeah, okay, I hear you. Yeah.
And my thinking is it's not a very big one.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
And so I think,
It's what we see on in that one shot.
everything you
Yeah.
see is in
Okay.
that shot. And I think
Yeah.
Ronnie Yu's going like, I've got nothing else to film.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
I can't do
That
a
makes
mid I
sense.
can't do a mid shot. I can only do close ups, like, because if I do, all of a
Hmm.
sudden you kind of realize the grass stops. And
Yeah.
um so that's what I think the problem is. I think this
Mm.
is they're restricted by the set.
Hmm.
Um and the other point I think is the sort of, again, one of the things I've talked about before is the geography of
Hmm.
this scene. Um, it's so unclear, kind of where everything is. I'm not entirely
Yeah.
sure. Like Jesse turns up with Tiffany at one point, and I'm like, cool. Where the hell did you go? Like you've both
Hmm.
come from the same place, but you seem to be coming at this from different directions, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. I'm like, I don't really get how the geography of this
Mm.
area seems to work. And then when Tiffany is killed, and he's like, he stabs her to get off my knife, and he kicks her over. 2 minutes later, the detective goes over to her, and she's amongst a bunch of gravestones.
Hmm.
I'm like, well, hang on, where'd they come from?
Mm.
Because they weren't there before.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's stuff like that. You go like, oh, okay, they've gone. Actually, this would look better if she's amongst the gravestones. There's no sort of thing if she crawled there or anything. It just feels a bit choppy in that
Yeah.
kind of way.
Yeah.
And so I do find that kind of distracting. So yeah, I do. I agree that the end scene feels worse, but I think it's because of they haven't sort of figured out how the scene works,
Mm.
and they are heavily restricted on what they have to film. I think.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I think that's soundly argued, I think.
yeah, we're kind of a shame considering we've had some really big, cool, fun scenes.
Big shame. Yeah.
Um,
And as we've mentioned, like, pacing up until kind of this final third and the escalation has been working so well, it just feels a bit of a downer of an ending, unfortunately. Until,
yeah, yeah, and yeah. I mean, you get Chucky gets shot, as we sort of
Mhm.
said. He has his line like, go ahead, shoot. I'll come back. I always come back.
Mhm.
And then yeah, he sends this thing of the detective just sending the kids off, like
Yeah, yeah, I love that.
clearly
Yeah,
clearly
yeah, yeah.
injured, and he's like, don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Go home. But
Jesse's been stabbed in the back, hasn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, shouldn't you be calling an ambulance? Like they clearly need help. But yeah, they're going off to bleed out somewhere. And then he goes, approaches Tiffany, pokes her. I like the fact, like I say, he's poking
Mm.
her 'cause, like, this is weird. And then she gives birth in a horrifically, like, legit creepy scene.
Yeah. I mean, Alien, right? It must be,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
I'm assuming.
I know it's not a chest burster, but it definitely has that kind of
Mm.
all these references we've had up to this point. This must be an Alien reference, right? The fact that he gets covered in gore as the
Oh,
baby
the
is born.
splatter, the way that comes out and stuff,
Yeah, and the way
yeah,
that the baby kind of comes out and does that almost,
sharp teeth,
yeah, primal scream that the chest burster does for sure. Yeah,
yeah, and then jumps on his face.
yeah. It's absolutely bonkers,
Yeah,
but is the right escalation for where this film was 25 minutes ago.
yeah. Oh no, this is completely in line with what has gone before, apart from the finale,
Yeah,
apart from the third act.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad it goes there.
Mm.
Um, well, when we get to the next
Yeah,
film, we'll see
yeah,
whether it pays off in the best possible way. Um, but yes, it's it's an interesting ending. Like,
yeah. And again, in keeping right with the kind of the carry hand out of the grave and the Friday the 13th with the rising out of the lake and all that stuff that it's referencing. It's doing a good job, isn't it, as well?
yeah, and again, like I remember the first time I saw this, or even the pre-seed of Chucky, like before we knew how they were going to carry this on. In my head,
Mm.
I was like, "Oh, that's going to be Chucky."
Mm. Hmm. Hmm.
Like he has been born of um Tiffany, but it's going to be his soul has gone into that
Yeah,
this new thing. Um, but yeah, that was always my thought. But yeah, I think it's great. I think it works. It's fun. It's silly. It's
yeah,
and then it just goes Bride of Chucky, and then it's like
yeah.
the end. Um, yeah, I mean, this is an absolute change of tone. I mean, after this, what are your overall thoughts then of Thor, Bride of Chucky?
I think, yeah, we've got a little bit critical there towards the end, which is a shame because I think what I would love to have done is just kept talking towards the end of this conversation and only sung its praises.
Mm,
Because all that hard work in the first act and the second act were well earned and were well judged, and the inclusion of Jennifer Tilly and the chemistry, I'm just sort of summarizing everything we said, but all of that was working gangbusters up until. Still, I end this movie thanks to that stinger scene. I think thinking, oh, okay, yeah, I'm in for the next one.
yeah.
That leaves me wanting to see more, and knowing that Chucky can come back, you presume Tiffany can come back too. So
Hmm.
I think it certainly, despite my reservations and our criticisms, it still leaves me in a place where I feel the franchise is in a good spot, really, and I want to see more.
Yes, I think that's a really good point. Is following the third film, there was very much a sort of, after the associations with it, and actually the response. I mean, the third one is clearly rushed,
Mm,
doesn't work as well, and everything. I think there was a kind of sense of like, oh, Chucky's done.
hmm
The killer doll thing is done, and I don't know whether this is the case, but this kind of feels like they've said we're going to give you one more shot,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
and Don Mancini's gone. Cool. In that case,
Yeah.
I'm going all out, and I'm going to do all this other crazy shit. Um, and I think it's everything in apart from that sort of, well, even that, I can see everything, all the choices that were made for three that didn't pan out
hmm
feel like they've made this, they've gone, I want to do these choices, and they've kind of panned out in this one.
Yeah.
Um, Apart from the casting of Jade and Jesse. And I do keep coming back to them as the main kind of
Mm-hmm.
problem. This kind of, and you mentioned all those other films that, like, Urban Legend, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, this kind of slashers that we were getting at this point,
Mm,
even that comes after this, the other Ronnie Yu film, Freddy versus Jason,
hmm
is absolutely carried on,
mm,
like, you need the chemistry and the personality of the the kids that are going to get killed. You kind
hmm
of need that, because you need to buy into certain things. If you don't care about them,
mm.
or you at least don't enjoy them on screen, then that's a big chunk of the film that you're kind of struggling to engage with.
Yeah.
And that's a
And
problem.
that's maybe where this subgenre has moved on, isn't it? Like
Mm,
everything else has kind of been reinvented but within the convention. There's a little bit of a spin on what we expect to happen. The big change is everyone is a good actor now and is a character you want to spend time with, whereas it used to be they're just fodder. Like you're just
yeah.
waiting for them to be killed, right? You knew that's all they existed for. But now we actually want to spend time with these people. We kind of want them to escape. Think of Sarah Michelle Gellar as Helen in I Know What You Did Last Summer, and she has that awesome chase through the kind of
Mm,
store and the really well, again, talk about a scene with really great pace. The pacing of the ending of that when it looks like she's going to make it to the carnival and get away, but you actually really want her to get away. 15 years ago, you've been waiting and waiting and waiting, desperate for that person to get killed.
yeah.
Like, I think that's the big thing that maybe he just didn't quite get right here that he missed.
And I think, we've mentioned it, but I think the franchise that understands that the most is the
Mm,
Final Destination series.
hmm
Because the Final Destination doesn't have a killer.
Yeah,
Granted, all right, Tony Todd becomes a bit of a face of it towards the end and stuff. Who doesn't love Tony Todd? But
mm,
the fact is, throughout all those other films, like, it's the cast. Each
hmm
one's a different cast, but you kind of like that. You go for the kills, and some of the kills are fantastic in
yeah,
those films, amazing. But you kind of need to sort of have a feel for the characters as well. Like,
yeah,
if and I think one of my favorite examples of this is it's not just about having likable characters. You've got to have, like, unlikable characters that are fun to be unlikable. You've got to
yes,
hate.
yeah,
You've got to enjoy hating them.
yeah.
And I think, I forget if it's 1, 2, or whatever, but there's one with two girls in suntan beds,
I think it's the third one actually. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And I always think about, because they're the bitchy ones.
yeah, yeah,
And so there's other people you're going, oh my God, I can't, they're going to die. And this one you're like, no, fry, you little bastards. Like,
yeah, yeah.
but the film has set you up to feel that. And they've done a good job in being those characters that you want to see that. So
Yeah.
that's the success.
hmm
Yeah, this one fails on that front, I think, by not having the oomph of those characters. How good
Mm.
would this have been if you'd have, like, I don't know I don't know what they would be.
Mm.
Um, and I don't know which way to go with this, because it's them that they become the suspects, don't they? They become
Mm.
the Mickey and Mallory of this sort of thing. Or that's what the police suspect.
hmm
Should they be closer to that?
It's interesting. But I think I was thinking exactly the same as you were saying that. In my head, I was thinking, I know where Scott's going with this. It's got to lean one way or the other. They've got
Mm,
to be either so apple pie
yeah.
and so twee and so sweet and so almost like sickly. It could never be them for us to see that and understand. or they've got to be edging on the verge of being those people anyway. And what this doesn't do is commit
Yeah,
any of that. It just has two very bland, cardboardy people
yeah,
with no
yeah.
personality. But I think it needed to go one way or the other, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure which way is the right way either, but I think either would have been better than what we get.
No. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yes, you have to make a choice.
Mm,
If anything, I actually think because of the way that this film's set up, um, I kind of think, with this message of, the 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 story of Chucky and Tiffany has been how you bounce off each other, and you can be good or bad for each other
hmm
depending on who you're around. I kind of like the idea of them being super sweet, super nice, um, and everything in the beginning. And you've got to try and justify this running away, but there's ways
mm,
around that. And actually have them being around Tiffany and Chucky starts to corrupt them.
hmm Yeah.
Um,
There's a movie called California with Brad Pitt and Juliette
yes,
Lewis and David Duchovny
yes,
and Michelle Forbes, I think is her name. That kind of plays with this idea where he's a serial killer and
that's the whole point of that film, isn't it? He wants
yeah,
to, yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's going around taking photographs and writing an article about serial killers, isn't he? But he sort of gets
Mm,
drawn into that world and gets kind of tempted to even do it himself in order to know his subject and that
yeah.
something like that would have worked,
Well,
I
and
think. Yeah.
that was around this time, wasn't it? This is that sort of
Feels
like
about the same time, yeah.
because that's sort of a youngish Brad
Mm,
Pitt, but
hmm
so maybe I think it was. In fact, I have a feeling it done pre-7, but released
Right.
post-7. It's one of
Yeah.
those, I
I
think.
can imagine that, yeah.
Um, but if you've ever seen 8mm with
Yeah. Nick Cage.
Nicolas Cage, a
Yeah.
similar thing. Private detective gets pulled into the world of snuff films, and
Mm,
he's not the most stand-up guy, but it's the corruption of that environment starts to bring him down.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I can see that being a good
Interesting.
idea. Like,
And that would actually give Tiffany more motivation as well, again, for saying we've got to get these people away from us because
yeah,
look at who they're becoming by spending time with us. Yeah, that totally works, doesn't it?
yeah, that could have been her aspiration. Like she could have seen them as that thing of like what she
Mm,
wants, the sort of as you said, apple pie, Americana of a couple kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that would have been good. I think we just
Mm.
fixed that film. But still, great fun.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I know that I'm going to come back around for the remake, but I think in
mm,
terms of this first section, I know you've got loads more to go, so I'm not going to ask you to commit on this, obviously, but for me, I think this is the high point of the franchise. I don't think just up until this point, I think from where it goes, there are some good stuff to come. I think when Fiona Dourif comes in, I think she's excellent
she's
as an
great. Yeah.
actress. And nepotism be damned. When you're good, right? I said the same thing talking about Alien Earth actually.
Mm.
When it's annoying at times seeing the opportunities people get just because, but then if they then prove that they're talented,
Well,
then they
uh,
deserve their place, don't they?
yeah. I think Jack Quaid of The Boys and other things like
Yeah,
yeah, right. Yeah, you've proven you actually
yeah,
deserve your place
for
and
sure.
fair play.
But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
I think this is for me. This is probably the best of this cycle.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's thinking of like how I separate them, and that's because I think
Mm,
there are three cycles in
okay.
as
Yeah.
four, technically I'd say there are four cycles in the Chucky franchise,
hmm
excluding the remake, which we will get to. But there's the original trilogy.
Mm.
There's the kind of camp horror
Sort of
of
bride
Bride
and
and
seed.
Seed.
Yeah.
Then there's the kind of like just the reinvention of the darker
Mm.
kind of things with Curse and Cult.
hmm
And then kind of like an amalgamation of like the last two, like it leans back into the craziness, but like maintains that kind of darker edge in the TV series.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and if anything, I actually say the TV series, which I will get to, but
Mm.
like is one of the kind of areas where you go like, oh, it's nuts. I mean, it's ridiculous, like
Mm.
silly, like and it explores some incredibly weird ideas.
hmm
Um, but like it also like some of the kills are great. Some of the ideas are really interesting.
Mm.
But have you watched the Evil Dead?
I was just about to
Ash?
say I have, and I absolutely love that. And I was wondering if it's in that realm, then I should
It
definitely give
is.
Chucky a go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those where they've sort of said we've got 10 episodes,
Uh-huh.
a pretty good budget. How should we spend it?
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And they've explained again. It's Don Mancini. It's doing his thing, and it's a continuation of the canon.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Mm. Yeah.
Um,
I think I'll give that a go. I'll watch
yeah,
it in line with you. You bringing out your episodes. I think.
yeah. Anyway, we shall sort of anything else you want to sort of braise for Bride of Chucky or any of the Chucky films at this point.
No, I think we've done an amazing job of covering that. I think. I guess the only other thing that jumped to my head as I was watching this, it was particularly the Voodoo for Dummies section, was that of
Mm.
course Scream is a massive influence on this, but I wonder if, uh, you know, with my predilection for the show, whether Buffy perhaps was a bit of a touchstone as well. I think some of the jokes and some of the quips and stuff perhaps could felt like they've come from that world too. John Ritter, of course, having been Ted in season two, my brain immediately went like, "Oh yeah, he played a bad guy in Buffy at that point." So I'm biased. If I can link anything back to Buffy, it's like my 6 degrees of Kevin
Mhm.
Bacon, 1 degree of Buffy for me. But it felt like, yeah, post Scream, post Buffy world.
This is I actually now you say it because I
Mm,
always think post Scream. I'm
mm,
thinking oh he's read he's been reading the scripts of Kevin Williamson. I think you're right. I think there's a Whedon-esque
mm,
edge to what they want to do with this. Um, yeah, I think you might be onto something there. There's
mm.
an idea, or at least they've got into that world. They've gone, oh, we've got to be hip and teen and kind of like
Yeah. Like the Frankenstein stuff, that first season of Buffy riffing on all the kind of how can we make this relatable? I think that works here for that scene. And yeah.
yeah. No, I think it's a good point. I think those are references that are in here, and what's funny is I think it thinks that it survived beyond all those other slashers. That's why I think you see that stuff at the beginning.
Hmm.
Ironically, it came at the same point as Halloween H2O,
Yeah. Yeah.
but fine. Um, and so I think it survived. It thinks it survived beyond the other slashers, which is where it's kind of
Mm,
pleased with itself. All the others are locked away in a cupboard, and we're the one that's being pulled off the shelf.
yeah.
Um,
Little
so
did they know.
yeah, absolutely. They're like all of them. Well, no, Freddie hasn't come back. So, but one day,
Yeah. Well, when was the remake? I've ne
2010.
I've never seen that, but okay, so that was.
Yeah, again, there's the spate of remakes, isn't there? Again, there's a sort of
Yeah.
like it
Yeah, yeah,
starts
yeah.
with Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th and
Yeah.
all those.
But kind of original Freddy's never come back. Yeah, good point.
Mm, yes. Anyway, we shall wrap it up there for now.
Excellent.
So thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, that was great fun.
But what are you doing out in the world? What are you doing, Jack? What can people find you doing?
Oh, so I'm about to hit the reconnaissance, the proper reconnaissance. So
Mm,
I've got a couple of left in my Back to the Filmography season two, where he's sort of treading water and he's doing it for the
by
money.
the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're hitting that point where he walks away for a couple of years and then comes back and suddenly is, one of the best working dramatic actors in the biz. So I'm really looking forward to that because we've got some really good ones to get into.
Mm.
Not everything's perfect, of course, and you're in for one that didn't do very well. You'll be coming back around for the Dark Tower, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting into kind of Dallas Buyers Club, True Detective, or this kind of peak era is going to be exciting.
Yeah, his rebirth. I ain't gonna lie, I was following up until a point, and then I was like, I don't really want to watch these.
No, fair enough. Yeah, loop back around when we
I
get to the
can't
good
wait.
stuff.
Oh yeah, there's loads. I'm talking like, yeah, I can't wait for some of the ones you're going to get to. Some interesting conversations.
Yeah,
And so yeah, Lincoln Lawyer, Dallas Buyers
mm,
Club, Mud, all that kind of stuff. Like
yeah,
it's just some good films there. Yes, and yeah, I'm coming for the Dark Tower. So
you
yeah,
are. Yeah,
less successful, but still, I love the book series, and we'll get into some of that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. So there'll be a link down below to try and find out. Go find back to the filmography. Excellent. For us, if you've been enjoying doing what we're doing, go check out the Patreon. There's all kinds of bits and pieces on there. We are well ahead with the sister podcast, Stories Out Time and Space. On the Patreon, we're actually about 9 months, maybe a bit more ahead.
Wow.
We've done all of RoboCop. We've done another series. We're now doing Kong. And so, we've got loads and loads of stuff on there. So go check out that. But also go check out the actual on the main feed if you want to sort of listen, because there's loads of stuff on there as well. Stories Out Time and Space. But for now, Jack, thank you very much for joining me for this. And I look forward to having you back for the remake.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah.
Jack will be back.
Yes. Sorry, Chucky. Jackie's back. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I shall see you on the next episode.